Hi guys, my name is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the experience of reading a book in German. For those of you who have been following along, you know that I have set a goal for myself for the past year, so for all of 2018 and continuing on into 2019, to learn German. Before I turn 30, I would like to be as fluent as possible in German. And one of the things that I have been doing is trying to read a book in German every 2 months. This year I am endeavoring to read 6 German books. The strategy for that was to listen to the audiobook alongside reading the physical text, so that I was like, you know when you first learn to read and they would have those, okay, so I don't know, maybe this is dating myself, but when I was learning to read, I had books on tape, so that as you're reading along, you are listening to what the narrator says and following along with your eyes, and then when you heard like a ping sound, you would flip the page. Basically, I was attempting a similar strategy with a novel. I feel like it worked out really well, so what I ended up doing was, instead of like pausing and Googling every time I found a word I didn't know, I would just highlight it, a word or a phrase, whatever. Eventually, it just started to click, and I found more towards the end, I understood enough of what was going on that I made notes for myself in the same way that I would annotate an English text, like making connections, offering commentary, asking questions. I guess I should mention what I read. I read Die Mitte der Welt by Andreas Steinhöfel? I don't know. Umlauts mess with my head. I originally watched the film adaptation. My first experience with this story was the film, which takes out a lot of the really dark elements. Like, it takes out some of the characters completely. It takes out this really like violent and shocking conclusion completely. It really pares down some of the things that establish Phil, our main character's mother, and her best friend Teresa. Like, it really pares it down to a like cute summer romance between Phil and Nicholas. And that, I think, is another thing that it does, is it sort of changes the season of the book. Like, the movie feels like a summer movie, but the book feels like a winter book, if that makes sense. Just based on when most of the things are happening, it feels like it fits better to read it in the winter than it does in the summer, whereas the movie feels like a summer romance to me. Getting to know more about Glass. So Glass is Phil's young American mother. She's very much Americanized, and she returns to Germany to live in her dead sister's giant mansion that's falling apart. They are always outsiders from the town, and I thought getting to see more of Glass and her decisions, her life, was interesting. The coolest part for me was actually feeling like I understood it. So the first reading experience I found very difficult because this is an abridged audiobook. I have yet to find a German audiobook that isn't abridged in some way. Like, we'll often skip like large chunks of description and just go for dialogue to keep things moving. And what I found really cool was, over the 2 months that I read this book, was experiencing myself get faster at finding my place, like physically being able to read and comprehend what was happening and then match it up to what was happening, like if they skipped a paragraph or if they skipped a whole like chapter, right? Like being able to jump from this, flip forward to find the words that I was looking for, being able to retain what the narrator had said and move forward and then join back in with the story. And it was kind of cool to see myself get better at that. I am really enjoying this experience so far. The next book that I am going to read is Die Märchenerzähler. Where is it? Butchering the pronunciation for you, you're welcome. That I tried to start reading the minute I finished Die Mitte der Welt. The audiobook for that is more than abridged. It's like paraphrasing things, and that is incredibly hard to follow along with. So What that means is I am going to try and read this entirely by myself. There will be no following along with the narrator for pronunciation, because I find sometimes I don't recognize the word with my eyes, but I've heard it before because I have grandparents who spoke in German to me, and so I grew up hearing it, so I recognize a word that I don't know I know because I never saw it written down. It's gonna be interesting not having somebody pronounce the things for me so that I can connect a visual to a sound, if that makes sense. I'm curious to see if I like this experience more, if maybe I learn more. I honestly don't know how reading this text is going to go, but obviously I will keep you guys updated. So far, success! I did in fact read Die Mitte der Welt. This isn't a review. I think a long-term goal for this one day would be to attempt a book review in German. That, I think, is a really great goal. It would probably be a lot more scripted. It would be me having written it out first and delivering it from a script opposed to me talking off the top of my head. I can't envision myself in the next year feeling comfortable enough to just bullshit a book review the way I bullshit all of my book reviews right now. Like, very rarely do I have anything planned when I chat off the cuff about books. And oftentimes you're witnessing me work through my thoughts on something for the first time as I'm talking, so I don't think I could do that in German by the end of this year, but maybe by the end of this year I should set myself the goal of being able to script and review a book in German, and then hopefully you will be kind. Be kind. Let me know your thoughts on learning a language down below. Have you learned a second language or third language or more than one language? Are you working on learning a language? What sorts of strategies are you employing for learning this language? If you would like to see more like language learning updates, let me know that too. So before we go, we have to thank my patrons who make this content and more long-form content possible. Thank you, patrons, for your support. So thank you guys so much for watching. There is a link to the page. There will be a link to the Patreon page on screen if you're interested in checking it out. And also maybe some other cool things, maybe a video or something linked in and around here. Ooh, so entertaining. I definitely am a professional. Should definitely be allowed to make end screens. Oh boy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.